A day at the smelters. The Fat Controller's railway is full of engines working hard, pulling passengers and delivering goods trains. They love to be busy because it means they can be really useful. One day Murdoch puffed into the Smelters Yard with some flatbeds. He was going to have a busy day. The Fat Controller had told him to shunt trucks until it was time to collect his trucks of steel. As he puffed towards the smelting shed, the doors opened and Neville, the black tender engine, puffed out. He was dusty from top to bottom. "Hello, Neville," smiled Murdoch. "What are you doing?"
"Hello, Murdoch," smiled Neville. "I have to take these parts to the wharf. The workmen are to repair Colin the crane. He can't work until he is fixed."
And Neville set off for the wharf. He whistled goodbye and puffed out of the yards. Just then, Arry and Bert chugged out.
"Oh, look,"
said Arry.
"it's a big orange come to work at the smelters."
"He won't have much fun here," grinned Bert. Murdoch didn't like being teased by Arry and Bert.
"I have work to do," he said. "Now I don't want any trouble from any of you. Is that clear?"
"Of course," said Arry.
"We won't cause any trouble,"
Bert agreed, and Murdoch set off for the sidings. But the naughty diesels were going to make Murdoch's day full of mischief. Soon Murdoch was busy shunting trucks in and out of the sidings. There were lots of trucks to sort out, but Murdoch didn't mind the extra work.
"Now this is what I call being busy,"
he smiled happily. Then the foreman came to see him.
"Your train is ready to be collected," he said. "Please have it delivered to the docks on time."
"Yes, sir," said Murdoch, and he set off to collect his train. Murdoch's train was by the resting shed. His trucks were loaded with lots of steel, big pieces and small. Some had to be loaded into open wagons. Murdoch buffeted up to them, and his driver coupled him up. But then he saw Bert coming up towards him with more trucks of steel, and before he knew it he was stuck in the middle of his train. Bump!
"Hey, what's the big idea?" he cried.
"Big orange piggy in the middle," chuckled Bert.
"You'll have loads of fun with all that steel,"
teased Arry. Murdoch was cross. He didn't like being stuck in the middle of the train.
"I want these trucks moved,"
moaned Murdoch.
"Sorry, old boy," said his driver. "There's no time. We must be on our way now."
Murdoch groaned, and he set off slowly and steadily for the docks. Up ahead there is a long siding just before the junction. It's big enough for any engine to park in while any other train passes by, but it's not long enough for any large trains to stop. If this did happen, then neither trains could come in or out of the smelters. Murdoch knew this siding well. He had often used it before. As he puffed towards the siding, it gave him an idea.
"Can we stop here, please?" he asked his driver. "I can then shunt my front trucks onto the train."
The driver and fireman agreed, so they switched the points and Murdoch pushed his trucks into the siding. Then he was uncoupled from his train and he puffed forward to the front of the siding to push the front trucks onto the train. He backed his trucks slowly and carefully, and soon he had a long line of trucks. "Phew," he sighed, "that's better." But then he saw Arry chugging towards him with more trucks. Arry had seen what Murdoch had done and was determined to make him a middle engine. But Murdoch saw what was going to happen. "Oh no, you don't," he cried, and quickly backed out of the siding. Arry chased after him. Murdoch's driver quickly coupled him back onto the train, and Murdoch tried to puff away. But suddenly it happened. Murdoch and Arry couldn't stop. The trucks crashed into Murdoch and bits of steel flew out of the trucks. Luckily no one was hurt, but the tracks were now blocked, and this meant Murdoch couldn't leave the smelters.
"Now look at what you've done," said Murdoch.
"This was your fault," grumbled Arry.
"No, it wasn't," shouted Murdoch.
The firemen telephoned for help, and Harvey the crane engine was soon at work clearing up the mess. The Fat Controller was cross. He spoke severely to Arry and Bert.
I'm disappointed with you two diesels,
he boomed.
I told you no more middle engines on the main line, and now Murdoch is going to be late for the docks.
We're sorry, sir, said Bert.
Sorry isn't good enough,
said the Fat Controller.
You will now stay in your shed until you are wanted.
Arry and Bert sulked crossly to their shed. Soon the mess was cleared up and Murdoch was ready to go. But he was now worried. I'm not going to make it in time, he groaned. Then he had an idea. Harvey, can you help me deliver my steel? He asked kindly. Harvey smiled. Of course I will, he said. We'll get there in time. So Murdoch gave Harvey half of his trucks and they puffed off to the docks. The trains were heavy, but they were determined to get the steel delivered. They pulled and puffed and pushed and panted. At last they reached the docks. You just made it, said the dock manager. Thank goodness, sighed Murdoch. Where have you been? Asked the dock manager. Let's just say I've had a day I want to forget, said Murdoch. Harvey chuckled, and Murdoch was very happy to have done a good day's work.